Hello everyone, welcome to our weekly guest lecture series. Today is guest lecture number 44. The snapshot of the event goes with the topic Food and Spirituality, a journey through indigenous and local food. And we do have a very special and a regular resource person, Mr. Ananda Mahinkanda. And he will be talking about food and spirituality, the journey through indigenous, local, and local food. Ananda Mahinkanda is the founder of Samahita Nature Foundation, and he is a senior financial and business management consultant. Regarding the short resume of this wonderful person, Ananda Mahinkanda is a nature lover, animal activist, and a strong promoter of compassionate and healthy living. He is a senior accountant and management consultant by profession and was asked and has worked in many different parts of the world, namely South Asia, Middle East, Africa, and North America. However, his passion now is to promote and educate general public about human health, animal welfare, environment, and the damaging impact of animal eating to our day-to-day life. He has gained a wealth of experience and knowledge by regularly participating at the well-known annual workshop Vegan Summer Fest held at the University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown, USA. He has given many presentations at national TV programs and social media platforms in Sri Lanka on the subject. He is also the founder of Samahita Nature Foundation of USA, a non-profit organization, and the advisor to the Nonviolent Society of Sri Lanka, established for the same purpose. He is an experienced meditator and an ardent Buddhist practitioner as well. In this guest lecture number 44, a practicing dedicated Buddhist, Ananda Mahinkanda, explores into his amazing journey through a wealth of knowledge on veganism and the power of local food. In this session, he will share his experiences of the importance of local organic food based on his continuous connection with the Vegan Summerfest. Hope this will be very helpful to all our friends around the world to stay healthy. Let me invite Mr. Ananda Mahinkanda to our studio.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Welcome back to our program. I know you also started this program actually 44 weeks ago, and we are very happy that we have been actually improving a lot so far. Many scholars and practitioners we have been able to connect, and they have shared their wisdom for the benefit of our community. And once again, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah. Anand Mahatmya, so we, the food and spirituality, as you mentioned here, like the Buddha said, Sabbe Satta Ahara Titika, all sentient beings depend on the food, right? So we humans have Kabalinkara Ahara, what we call like, we have to, piece by piece.
Things that about.
Yeah. So the other sentient beings, like they have different food habits too, like the devas, the celestial beings. It is said, Piti Bhakka Bhavisama, the Brahmas and devas, they actually don't eat like the way we do, and that their food actually mostly the karmic food, the karmic energy, and also just the happiness, the rapture, the joy that could be their lifelong food. And in some lower realms, they also have different kinds of foods. Animals have different kinds of food. So it's very interesting, food and spirituality when we put together, because the food today is really in a very unfortunate situation. A lot of people don't even recognize how they have been trapped into this system of processed food and um, chemically, organically, like the food that we used to eat when we were little is no more now. The whole soil has been changed, and atmosphere has been changed, and lots of huge marketplaces have come up, and people have to provide food to so many people through those selected marketing giants. So I think what you are doing is a tremendous fight back towards the humanity. So um, what is the progress so far? Any updates?
Yeah, thank you so much, Bante. And first of all, I have to really thank you for inviting me. And I had the pleasure of having the first lecture also on your platform. And that is 44 weeks ago. I know you had been we have been discussing to have another one, but was a little uh, uh, tied up with various other things. But I'm very, very glad that I'm here with you today and with our fantastic friends, and share some views. Especially actually at this time, these are very, very bad times. We see the world is in turmoil. Needless to say that what's happening in Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, Australia, Palestine, and Israel, and I don't know what happens next week. Maybe China and Taiwan. Who knows? But things are not going well. So in this situation, we have to be really, really make an effort to keep our mind balanced, and to look at critically of our daily activities. And when it comes to daily activities, food, we live on food, and we eat food every day, every time, and that's our life energy. And so it is very, very critical for our well-being, for well-being of our well-being of the relatives, the close ones, the neighbors, the villagers, the whole world. So in case if we are not consuming our food correctly, if we don't eat our food, the right time, the right quantities, that started that starts killing your mental balance, killing your body, killing your human surroundings. So, so our topic today is actually food and spirituality. So one might, what has spirituality got to do with food? You know, Actually everything has to be spiritual. And So, what is spirituality? First of all, I mean, there are so many definitions about spirituality. Uh, we are talking about. Some people might think that uh, being close to the God, and actually, it is basically out of the normal self. We have to go beyond our normal self. What is our normal self? Our normal self is basically, with lots of greed, hatred, jealousy, and all these negative emotions, negative thoughts, evil thoughts. So that is our normal self, generally, unless you have trained your mind to develop it better, or if unless you elevate your mind into a better to be a better being. So generally we are very selfish, very angry, selfish creatures. So when it comes to spirituality, I just try to figure out what spirituality, I just try to get some meanings or definitions. I just want to read that first. Spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or sense of belief that there is something greater than myself, something greater than myself. Spirituality means knowing that our lives have significance in a context beyond a mundane everyday existence, at the level of biological needs that drive selfishness and aggression. So we have to go beyond, and there are so many other defined. And also, when you go beyond your normal self, you actually have to think of, as basically Buddhist, practitioners, the divine abodes, four divine abodes. So when we go out of our normal self, we automatically create the situation where we are thinking compassionately, lovingly, and with sympathetic joy, going out of jealousy and equanimity, or having a mental balance, facing the world in a positive way, whether the result is good or bad. So if we are internally have not developed, if we have not developed these qualities, it's definitely we cannot get into that level. So it's an effort, samma sati, samma virya. We have to make an effort for that. And when it comes to food, the food has to be pure. The food has to be harmless. Who says so? The Buddha has said. Not only that, all the Ayurvedic and all the medical practitioners, especially in the past. In the past we had some good, healthy living beings. Even the Western medical practice, actually the father of Western medicine, Hippocrates, he also says the medicine or the food has to be pure. It has to be non-violent. It should not come from violent forms. Even the medicine. Now we know that nowadays, we do sacrifice lots of animals for medical practices, testing and things like that. But nowadays the doctors come up and say, no, we don't have to do that. Like Dr. Neil Bernard. By the way, I want to announce here that next November 16th, Dr. Neil Bernard, he's the president of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine in the USA. It's a very, very powerful figure. And he's giving a lecture. I have organized a lecture through him to the Sri Lankan medical community. So they're all talking about this plant-based, pure, natural food choices. How we can get into that kind of a food systems, food choices. How do we know? How do we learn about these things, and what benefit that it accrues to us, our day-to-day life? So that will be next 16th. And last month I had a similar lecture with Dr. Michael Clapper for Sri Lankan doctors. Well, we can talk about it a little later if we have time. So it has to be pure. It has to come from non-violent means. So if we kill someone and eat, that is definitely not a spiritual way of eating our food. Our food, it's all coming from the soil. The plant has the ability to get all the nutrients, all the good vitamins and everything from the soil, and put it in a plant, and then we eat plants. So animal also, like carnivores, they also ultimately eat animals who is eating plants. So the source is plants. So we human beings, we say that our mind is better developed than the other animals. then we have the source. We should go to the source, and we should get our food from there. So when it comes to spiritual path, there are so many things Buddha has said about um, our food. As you earlier mentioned, that the Ahara Sutta, the food, the sutta about food, and it has 4 kinds of foods. One is the Kabalikara Ahara, the solids that we eat through our mouth, that is for the nourishment for the body. And for the mind, there are 3 types of foods, if I remember. One is Passahara, the contact, Mano Sanchetana Ahara, that the thoughts that we are feeding to, and the consciousness, Vijnana Ahara. So these are the foods. So ultimately, we see for our well-being, the mind, balance of the mind is very, very important. So when we eat our food, if we see that, oh, this is not right, I always have my bad thoughts about the food that I eat, then it is not going to be good for you. So first of all, we have to understand, when you talk about the food, for the humans, the food will be plant-based. The Buddha has said so many in numerous instances that directly and indirectly that we should go for plant-based and we should not eat animals. One is Dhammapada stanza 129, says, all beings fear danger, life is dear to all. When a person considers this, he does not kill or cause to kill. That is what the Buddha says, Dhammapada 129. And there are so many other things like that. And when you talk about Noble Eightfold Path, in the Eightfold Path, the first 2 elements, that is Samma Ditti, or the right view, and the right thought or the right intentions, are the parts of wisdom, Sila Samadhi Prajna. So the wisdom is actually, to develop the wisdom, you have to have the right thoughts and right view. So in this right thought, it is, it has to be, there are three types of, three levels of right thoughts or right intentions. So Avyapada Sankalpa, meaning that we should not hate anyone. So we have to develop loving kindness there. Avihimsa Sankalpa, again the same thing, like compassion. It has to be compassionate. So we have to have compassionate thoughts. We have to loving kindness, loving and kind thoughts. And the Nekkamma Sankalpa, meaning that just going away from our greed. Actually, it is reduced. The greed, the hatred, and all these negative mind states. So when someone is developing right food choices, thinking about it, so one might think, oh my God, how can I stop eating meat? Then you have to think these things and get out from there. So that is a Nissarana. That is actually Nekkamma Sankalpa. What is the word Nekkamma? Nekkamma is, Banda, you remember the word Nekkamma?
Renunciation.
Renunciation. Going away with your own desires for the benefit of yourself and also for the others. And there's another thing I remember with Rahulovada Sutta. There's one of the suttas Buddha talked to his own son, Ambalattika Rahulovada Sutta. And there he says, when we have these different choices, when we don't know what is good, what is bad, whether the meat is good, he's not talking about meat there, but in our case, we can put it into that context. What he's saying is that na attabhya badaya sangvatati, na parabhya badaya sangvatati, na ubhyabhya badaya sangvatati. What do you mean? Meaning that, Rahula, if something is not good for you, it could be good for the others, but it's not good for you. Don't do that. Rahula, something can be good for you, but not good for the others. Please don't do that either. Rahula, something can be good for, not good for you, not good for others. Please don't do that. Rahula, if something is good for you and good for the others, then you do that, or then you accept it, whether it is told by me or someone else. You see, so that is the test. I think all the Buddhists, and not only all the Buddhists. I mean, you don't have to direct this concept to Buddhists. Only anyone, without any debate, can accept this fact. Just think whether it is good for you and good for the others. So when it comes to eating choices, just think whether it is whether this particular food is coming from the violent ways and non-violent ways. This food, to get this food, has someone tortured someone, has given pain to someone. So we can easily decide, especially when it comes to animal food. We definitely know that these are not pure. These are very harmful. Then, and there are so many other instances we can quote from the Buddhas. And I remember Nanda Brahmacharya Sutra. In one of the suttas, Lord Buddha is talking to the monks, and Venerable Nanda was there. Nanda is actually his own cousin. He says, now Nanda is not going for harmful food, like, he is now thinking of ahimsa food, meaning that non-violent. He's not eating now. Basically, he's not eating meat. But we have to actually remember that there's a little space for the monks and the Buddhists to eat meat, provided the meat is not coming from any harmless. I mean, if it is coming from not killing an animal, there can be food coming from sources there's no animal is killed or anything, or purposefully killed for meat, like animal has been killed by a tiger, and we see in the jungle, and we might eat because that food is not for us. So there's a little space actually we can, but generally you call it Trikoti Parisuddha Masa, but generally we cannot eat. And if you go to the marketplace, if you go to the supermarket and if you buy food, if you buy meat, that meat is basically meant for the people who eat. It is being killed, it's being slaughtered for us to eat. So they know that, there's someone needs to buy, and therefore there's a word called Uddisakata, Uddesakaranalada, or Pavatta, Appavatta. So basically, Uddisakata meaning that, it is for someone, it is for us, people who are eating meat. So then we cannot actually eat that kind of meat. So now we need to understand that when you talk about the spirituality, the meat is out of question. It has to be out of our plate. Think about it. Think about what is happening right now in Gaza Strip. We are very worried about people getting killed, the torture, the pain, the sufferings. But why can't we put that same thoughts to the factory farms, the animals in the factory farms? So they are suffering like anything. If we just want to understand, 75 billion animals are slaughtered every year on this planet. 75 billion. If you put it into the context, it is 10 times the world population. It is 10 times the world population. And now when we talk about this many killings, this many sufferings, this many pains, and it is not difficult to understand the kind of suffering that these animals undergo every day, every minute, every second. Then there's a question comes now. Okay, so if we don't eat this kind of meat, this kind of food, what about our protein? What about our health? How can we get our protein and stuff? So I will just talk few things about this protein myth, then we'll go to our local and indigenous food. When we talk about health, the best food for us is plant-based. Now, the doctors especially in the Western world now talking so big about it now, like Dr. Michael Klepper, Michael Greger, Dr. Neil Bernard, Colin Campbell. The research after research, they say all these non-communicable diseases like heart attacks, cancers, liver and kidney issues and strokes, these are all coming because of meat consumption. The wrong elements of meat, meaning that the cholesterol, the hormones, especially the harmful hormones like cortisol and adrenal and things like that. When the animal gets scared, they have this natural hormone accumulation. These are very dangerous for human body. And saturated fat. These are all bad things. So we never talk about this. And what we talk about is only protein. So just to get a kilo of animal protein, you have to sacrifice 6 kilos of plant protein. To get 1 kilo of animal protein, you have to sacrifice 6 kilos of plant protein. So because we are causing this deforestation and things like that for the animal for the animal feed, and global warming, and the global warming, the main cause of global warming is methane, not carbon dioxide going from the petroleum, burning by petroleum burning. So the methane and nitrous oxide, the harmful gases, the poisonous gases, these are all going from factory farms. And we have no time to go into details about these things, but remember, this is harmful. This is harmful to the environment. This is harmful to the body. So if that is the situation, why we eat? It is just because of the taste buds. We just want to satisfy our taste buds. Food is not just eating. The food is a process. The food starting from one place and food ending from another place. So the mouth is one just little place in that process. So all the food is grown, and it's coming from the earth, water, and of course air, and energy comes from the sun. So these are all outside things. So we have the capacity to eat this real food which is coming from the source, which is plants. Sorry. And our body also, I just take another 1 or 2 minutes to explain about our body. Our body is not meant for animal food, meaning meat or fish or egg for dairy. We are totally different. We are herbivores. We are not carnivores. Our jaws can work up and down and also horizontally. The carnivores only, they can handle it only up and down. They can maneuver up and down only. And our teeth, we have grinding teeth in the back. We don't have sharpened, strong pointed teeth in the front, like carnivores. Sorry. Our digestive tract is very long, like any other herbivore animals. There are so many things. And our digestion starts from the mouth itself, but carnivores, it's in the stomach. So like that. there are so many differences. So it is biologically, health-wise, environmentally, no way the animal food is good for us. So it is always plant food. Now, then in the plant food also, so my second part of this lecture is, we understood first the spirituality. So when we giving torture, when we give pain, when we give suffering to an animal, it will not be spiritual. And we know that it is not good for the animal. We always have that guilty conscious with that. So it's always harming us, whether we know or not, if that activity is happening. Our lifespan is becoming less and less. Now people die about 50, 60 years with heart attacks and various other things. 85% of the world population, world deaths, is due to non-communicable disease, which is completely preventable by just changing the diet. So then when we understand that fact, we need to correct one place, that is our taste bud. How can we handle it? That is why we are human beings. We have to think, we have to make an effort. Now, again, the second part of our this thing is, our talk is, even the plant food, we need to try and get the local food. Why the local food? Excuse me. So even we eat plant food, plant-based diet, it is always better to get our food from the local sources. Why? There are so many things. We need to get used to it. Why? Especially look at the situations like this in Gaza. The world is always full of disagreements, wars, and fights and things like that. So when we are depending on wheat from Ukraine, when Ukraine has a war with Russia, our supply chains will get affected. This happens all the time, always. So that is one thing. So we are not self-dependent. We are not independent. We are depending on other sources. If the food coming from local sources is much more reliable. And the second thing is the zero mileage food. Like we need to put a value to the food for the transportation. Now we eat rice here. We know, of course, we don't grow rice here. So we get rice or something from maybe India, maybe from Morocco, I don't know, from Pakistan. How much money we spend for the transportation? How much money we spend on the transportation? And in the process, even vegetables, when we get, like for example, we eat oranges from Florida. We can eat oranges from California. How much effort that we have to put into the process of bringing oranges from Florida to California. So it is easy to get local oranges. That is much cheaper, is fresher, no chemicals, lesser the time span, better the food for us. So I'm sorry, I have this cough.
Are you okay? Do you need a break?
Just give me just a second. Maybe I can
Okay, yeah.
get a cough drop quickly. Okay,
So
I think I should be okay. Anyway, let's try.
okay. You need hot water?
No, I think I should be okay. Sorry about it. So when you get the food from local sources, it is always good. And it will help us not depending on the other third party elements like the transporter, the time factor, the calamities in between. Not only that, it supports the local community. You go to the local people, you go to the farmers market and talk to them. You engage with them and see their lifestyle and be sympathetic to their efforts for us, because we are always depending on other people. We are not independent. That I think I have mentioned this in the past also. This shirt was not made by me. This computer that we are communicating, not made by us. The house that I live is not made by me. The shoes, the food that we eat, generally is made by some other people. So we need to remember that always. We have to be grateful for the other people. So when we go to the local farmers, the farmers know who we are, and I know who making these food items for us. We can have an engagement. We can have a spirituality creep in into that process. Smiling, look at their lifestyle, help them in whatever the way. I mean, you have a humane interaction when you go to the local farmers and try to, when you get the farmers food directly from the source. So it is true, it is plant, but still, if we can eat the plants from the local sources, that is much better. It is much better. And then there's another element, the indigenous food. Indigenous food. We have actually even the farmers markets, they normally grow the food items, the plants which are normally grown in basically like carrots, beets, and things like that also. But there's an element that we have completely forgotten. Now, when I talk from a Sri Lankan point of view, I'm coming from Sri Lanka, even though I live in the United States. There are so many food varieties, but we have even not known many of them. I just want you to actually okay, I'll show some slides, some food items that we have forgotten in our. So this is. Let me. Can my screen be seen, Bante?
Yeah, we can see.
You can see?
Yes.
Yeah. And now I just Googled actually a little while ago. The indigenous edible plants in California. So many things. Actually, we are so ashamed that we don't know about it. These things. See, I can share this link later. These are all edible local food. Now, countries like like United States and developed countries, of course, some or another they get their food because if they have money, they can get. But what about the poor countries? Why do we forget about these choices what we have? Not only that, the local food and the indigenous food are the food that we should consume. The simple reason is that these are the food that is good for the local people. Like if you go back to the history, the people ate the things available to them in the local fields. So that is why they existed. Otherwise, they would have gone. Like the existence can be threatened. So if someone is existing in a particular area because they ate that food, and those items will be good for that particular the temperature, the climate, and good for the people living in that area. Now, we were living in Sri Lanka in a remote area, and that area is a dry area, dry zone called Vaunia. And in that area, the water is not good. The water is, it has a lot of, the water is hard actually, hard water. So you always get kidney diseases and things like that. But to counter attack that, there are local plants like Ranavara, Polpala, and various things, and the Kakiri, Pipinyam, there are various food items that you can consume. So if you consume those items, the people would not get that kind of diseases, even though certain things are bad for your, the local conditions. And to counter that negative impacts, there are food, because if someone is living in a particular area, so definitely he would have eaten the food coming from the local area. So this local food, now there are lots of science behind it, lots of research done, that local food, indigenous food are the best for the people in that particular area. So this is something that people don't talk about much. So that is why I thought of bringing this topic and look at what you have in your area. At least just to, we do it now. Lots of ornamental trees that we have in, laws. So, in this local marketplace, just plant a tree which is edible. If you can eat the fruit or the leaves or the flowers of that tree, just plant that. Just don't plant any plant. Every plant is beautiful. So don't worry about it. And I find so many plant varieties, ornamental plants, where you can eat the fruits in those berries. And I want to show another slide from this for the people who are basically in Sri Lanka. There are so much of, I just run through. Now there is a task force to educate about this topic in Sri Lanka, because people are suffering without food, and Sri Lanka right now is undergoing a turbulent time. So many things I'm just showing you, and we have not even heard about these things. So it's not going. Okay, so I just my computer is stuck, I believe. Okay, let me. Okay.
Now it's working.
Okay, it's taking a little time. I want to show. Anyway, so anyway, this is for the people who can understand Sinhala. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you look at your own area, if you talk to an elderly person, they will say, "Oh, we can eat this. We can eat this," and please go and find them and eat them, because that is the best for you. That is the best for you, for your health, for your well-being, and for the for the surroundings also. So that's what actually I just want to bring to your attention. Do that. If you have people people who are coming from Sri Lanka, like me, I always talk to an indigenous doctor, Ayurvedic doctor. Ask them what are the things that we can eat locally, and the answer is amazing. You feel ashamed for not knowing this kind of choices, and it is important, because we have to reduce our dependency on other sources, the long cycles. We have to reduce that time frame from the food source to your plate. Reduce the time. So the local food, the indigenous food, just pay attention to that. So that is basically actually I want to mention. And so basically there are a couple of things we discussed. One is when it comes to our food, it has to be pure food. It should be non-violent. It should come from free of pain, suffering, torture. So the plant food, right? Then the second aspect of it, the plant food is the food that humans should eat because that is healthy, and our body structure is for plants, not for meat, right? So when we eat meat, it is like putting diesel onto a petrol engine. So so that is why people start dying, and the various chemicals, hormones, fats, and things like that, cholesterol, all come from the plants. And when we talk about, for example, when we talk about dairy, for your information, no animal in the animal kingdom drink milk of another species. Number one. Number two, even that even your own mother's milk, it is only for your infancy. After the infancy, no animal is drinking even her or his own milk, mother's milk. So milk is only for the infants, remember. So that's very, very important. And because of milk, there are so much of diseases accruing, and we are getting so many diseases, people have no idea about it. So just research, and if you want information, I have lots of informations, and maybe we can connect later. So forget about animal food, look at plant foods, and on the plant food also see the local foods, and even when you go beyond that, look at the indigenous food. That's not many anyway, so it's very hard to get, but pay attention to that. Pay attention and be healthy, and be compassionate, and will keep that spirituality up and running. And so when you're spiritual, your mind is good, you are strong, you are fearless, and definitely you will accrue to a huge benefit to yourself, your family, and to the mankind and the whole planet. Thank you. And Bante, I don't know whether if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. So I think there could be a lot of questions. If you have any questions, dear friends, this is the time to ask those questions until they show up some questions. Yeah, I think you you talked about how important it is to use the locally available food. I remember in some cases, like for example, when people have allergy, they say, okay, use local honey. We have honey from all over the world, but locally available honey would be the best because that really addresses the issue that you have. I think when you talked about that, I remember that I heard it like in different places wherever I went. Okay, have local honey. So ask for local honey. So now we can see the importance of locally available food, and sometimes it is unfortunate that we don't give priority, um, no even are aware of these things anymore. Now many people don't even know. For example, here in this part of the country, we do have dragon fruit,
Yeah.
and I think dragon fruit is wonderful fruit, and it is organic. It is just grow with this intense scorching heat. They
One
can
thing,
survive.
yes, cactus. Cactus
Okay.
is really a good food.
Yes, yes.
And so it has uh, lots of good stuff for the humans who are living in these desert type conditions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, you were in Vaunia. I remember when I was in Anuradhapura, for example. That's also a dry zone,
Mm.
and people do have certain indigenous medicines that the water is contaminated, kind of having a lot of lime. limestone in the water, mixed with the water, and lots
Yeah.
of researchers were also done. They say the water is not so tasty, so the taste differs, is different, and so people have kotama, what do you call, different kinds of indigenous
Yeah.
plants, um, so they can boil them and drink the water as a tea, or that really cures the problem. Polpala, ranavara, all kinds of locally available thing, and no need to buy water bottles.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, people have lost that taste and they go for market and they get water. One time I remember it was very funny to say, but the Sri Lanka is having water all the time, but one time I remember in the Sri Lankan airline there was a water cup available, that was provided from Middle East. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Um,
That
yeah.
is so funny. I
Yeah. I
thought,
was
wow.
actually, you're right. I also have seen that. I think Sri Lankan Airlines, I don't know.
Yeah, Sri Lankan
Yeah.
Airlines.
Sri Lankan Airlines, the water bottle was from Fujairah, UAE. Fuji. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have water. I mean, they are desalination. They have plants all over the place. But
Mm.
this water is coming, the bottled water coming from UAE. I couldn't believe that. That's the thing. See the how much money that you spent on water coming from a foreign land. The water is all over the place in Sri Lanka.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
So I
the food issue, the food problem, like now the world population is growing all the time, and so what is your suggestion? How do we actually, are we able to be self sufficient with the locally available food,
oh yes,
or do
yes.
we need a lot of time researching and cultivating these things so that people can get that food? What is your idea about that?
I think we have to. First of all, uh, we need to be educated. We have to put our signals up all the time. What is happening? What is food? What is the body? And how these food interact with our body and the mind. And then when you, uh, like for example, at my home, I have all the indigenous plants and the local plants in my backyard. And
I can
uh,
see in your background too some plants.
yeah, uh, and one day when you go to the backyard, so I normally don't take a breakfast in the morning. Around 10 o'clock, I get a very nice juice, um, smoothie actually with all the plants. I have gotokola, I have mukruan, and various things in my bag, and guava leaves. Do you know about it? It's very
Really?
very
Oh,
very good. Actually, I can even show now. I have made powder. I have
oh
dried it and
wow.
made powder, and it's really good for many many things.
Hmm.
So a couple of guava leaves, and put some fruits also, apple or something like that, and make a juice or a smoothie, and that is my breakfast. The brunch actually, we do it at around 12 o'clock, and the lunch is around 1:30. That's enough, and very very light something in the evening. That's again something plant based something. So and our health is okay. Our health is perfect actually. So I always feel sad. Why people don't do that? Why they get sick?
Hmm.
Why people get sick?
Hmm.
Everybody is sick, Bante. I mean, that is why I have got these doctors to talk to Sri Lankan medical community. And it's not an easy thing, but I'm so glad that I'm doing it now. And the next lecture is November 16th with Dr. Neil Bernard.
Hmm.
So people have no idea. They think, oh, we have to eat meat. So that's a myth. Now, if we talk about protein, of course, meat has protein, but plant has better protein. absorbable protein. So we can absorb plant protein much better than the animal proteins. And so what I was trying to say is that now there is nothing called protein deficiency. No one is dying without protein because we don't have protein. Of course, protein is a very important element, but our focus, our attention is really we are over. It's an overstatement that we always talk about protein. That is not right. What we need to ask is fiber, because meat does not have any fiber, zero. All the fiber is coming from plants. So things like that, there's lots of, this is meat and dairy industry is creating all these things over a fairly, long period of time now. So we need to reverse that pattern. We need to reverse that wrong education, wrong thoughts and concepts. Yeah. And
So again, coming back to the local food culture, um, are there any organizations that promote the local food culture? I think that will be very helpful for local farmers and also local people, so that they can appreciate their own food and they can be healthy and happy. And do you know some organizations or some individuals who are working on this?
if you look, Bante, you will find it. See, the thing is that we don't look at it. I mean, if you just Google it, okay, what are the local farms? You will find many. But anyway, this is a very early stage. But firstly, we have to get this concept into the mind, and at
Hmm.
least you can grow your food, whatever the food possible, inside your backyard. I mean, some people don't have acres and acres of land, but what I'm saying is even 20 perch or a small, your backyard. I mean, I'm very self-sufficient with my plants. I don't have to worry about, really. I don't have, because I know I get a good smoothie in the morning, and that will give me enough fiber, enough everything. So then the lunch will with some starch, like rice or beans or something like that, and a couple of curries. So we are set. We don't need a lot of food actually, and and uh, and that will also prompt you to eat home
Hmm.
based food, because we know, like, when you become a plant eater, there are not many food choices available in the restaurants. So
Hmm.
it's no point of going and looking for vegan food. Okay, so we make vegan food home. And the other thing is, this food is very, very tasty. You will really know the taste of the plant food when you do away with the animal food. It takes a
Hmm.
couple of weeks, actually, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to see the right taste of the local food. Some people don't see that immediately, by stopping, when you stop animal food. You feel that something is missing, but after a couple of weeks, you will be fully uh, enjoying the plant food. And again, going back to the spirituality, you really enjoy your food choices. You feel that this food is not coming with torture, coming with pain, coming with harassment, coming with so those thoughts are always going. And when I get my food, actually I give a little prayer or a little meditation, and I think of all the people who helped this food, creating this food for me. It could be a farmer in a foreign land, or a local farmer, whatever, and they make a lot of effort for us. And be spiritual, be think about them, be
Hmm.
compassionate, and excellent loving kindness. So yeah, so when you are aware of what you eat, when you are more analytical of your food, all these thoughts come to your mind. That's what I said. It's food is not a particular point where you eat it. No, it's a process. It's coming from the ground and it goes. So you are just only one point in that process.
Yeah, I think that is everyone has to think of this very seriously, and you need to actually not only promote but also have some liking towards yourself. Like when you grow plants at your own backyard, you will be so happy. I have actually seen many people here in California They have lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of flowers, all in their backyards. You don't have to actually, as you said, you don't have to have very large ground for that.
Mm,
But they also use locally made fertilizer. I think
mm,
no chemicals. You know what you do. You know what you grow, and
right.
then you know what you eat.
Mm.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Actually, that's another point that I want to make actually earlier. You know what you eat. That gives a immense mental satisfaction because you
Mhm.
don't know. Like for example, when you go to a restaurant and eat, and when you make your food at home, see the difference. We don't know whether it's properly washed, and we don't know how that food is made. So always it is always we feel safe when we eat home food like
Hmm.
that. And when the food comes from foreign land, we don't know what chemicals they have put in, for the for keeping it for a long time. They put various chemicals, things like acrylic for any grains and things like that. So if the things are coming locally, you know that those things are less or uh, not not there at all. And yeah, that connection and being happy and being uh, content with what you can eat locally, and it gives a real big pleasure. uh, and your food will be fearless. You will not be fearful about your food sources choices. Yeah, when you think about it, so many things. And fortunately in Sri Lanka now there's a task force. They are promoting the site that I showed you earlier. It is uh, to help the local people to face this food crisis which is coming in the future. Actually, they think that sometime May, June next year we have a problem. Hope we don't face that problem. Uh, but the the best thing to do is to get self-sufficient. You don't have to have acres of land for growing. Your backyard is enough for many many things. Um, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes actually it's so weird to see like a country like Sri Lanka, go bankrupt. Like how people can suffer. I think it's unimaginable.
Mm,
Like you have such a beautiful country where you have water always, and the soil is so fertile, and I don't know why people don't get food enough for them to eat. How come they are malnourished? It's it's beyond imagination.
yeah.
I really feel like heartbroken to, and also a little bit frustrated because people have been so much used to eat the food available in the supermarkets, and they have lost interest in cultivating something in their own backyard.
Yes.
um, I think Sri Lanka is 80% rural. It's
Mhm.
not like this country.
Yeah.
80% rural country with so much lush green emerald, such a beautiful island, and water always available. And how come they don't have enough food to eat? That is, yeah, I think this is a very good eye opener for everyone to think of having your own food. Grow as much as you can and try to self survive, and also control your food craving, ahara tanha. Craving for so many different kinds of food. Like you want to go from one restaurant to another. Like this has become a tradition. And now, for example, in Sri Lanka, we have what we call tambili, the king coconut, such
Yes.
a wonderful, tasty water.
Delicious.
And people in the people in the urban areas, they would kick the king coconut and they would grab the Coca-Cola instead.
Yeah.
That is really like nothing compared to that
Mm.
organic,
It's it's
originally
it's a,
available food.
it's a
Uh,
crime, Bante. It's a
yeah, that,
crime not to know these things. It's unbelievable. I mean, as you said, the same thing. I mean, when you go to Sri Lanka, we go often, and we go to remote areas, lots of lush green, and but you don't see a plant that you can eat. you know, just wild plants most of the times. But and I'm sure those things also can be eaten, but people don't know, have no idea. So when you just because you get water all the time, it's always raining. So when you just plant something, it automatically grows. You don't have to do anything. You know,
mm,
it's such a land, such a country, such a fertile uh, uh, land, but people say that they don't have something. They don't have to eat. They have nothing to
yeah,
eat. I mean, this is unbelievable. So we need to get this culture back to the country, not only Sri Lanka but any place, because future we don't know. Future is very bleak. So at least do something for yourself in your backyard. And this in the morning smoothie that I make, Bante, with fruits and plants, that is enough for you the whole day. Actually, I'm telling you, you don't have
mm,
to have anything else.
mm,
It's enough because that gives enough fiber. When you take fiber, your stomach is full. Like you feel like full. You don't need anything after that. So only one other meal later on. The beans is the best, and of course rice, and look at rice also. What we eat, the rubbish part, the all the good part, the skin. we we polish it and throw it away. We have no
mm,
idea. That's the most nutritious part of the rice grain. You
mm.
know, so it's totally upside down. We have so this education. That is why these things are important. At least some people will listen. Some people will learn. If one person is getting healthy, Bante, by listening to these things, that's enough.
Yeah.
Really,
I
everyone.
remember I remember actually a story when I was studying in India, New Delhi, in the heart, the capital of the country. We had a professor. He was the warden in a dome, and one day I saw a farmer, and he was such a simple man, with the simple cloth, and you know uh, upper body naked, and he always used to work in the
Yeah.
in the backyard. I noticed him working all the time, and later on only I came to know that he was none other than the professor's father. And
Oh,
yeah, I mean, how this educated professor teaching in a university, and so respectfully, living so peacefully and harmoniously, living with so much respect towards his father. I really found it was so heartwarming to see that such wonderful communication, coordination, that down to earth, people in India. Vast majority of the people are just farmers, and they really feel very lucky people, very fortunate people. They eat very organic food most of the time. And yeah, I think when it comes to this processed food, that is where we have to be careful. I mean, let alone the meat eating, even the vegetables that
yeah.
we have is not safe. That is the problem. Organic food, organically available vegetables are very rare to find in the markets too, and they are very expensive, difficult to afford. So I think people have to kind of have a balance. And also, as you said, you need to educate yourself. You need to change your attitudes towards the food culture. I think that way we can be more indigenous, we can be more spiritual, and more respectful to the nature.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to be very, very close to the nature. In the coming months, the coming years, in the future is very bleak one thing. A
Mm.
lot of uh, sorry, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Otherwise, they
Like
stop.
people in Africa, for example, people in other continents, maybe in Australia. Those tribal people, how they survive with such good health, because they in Amazon forest.
Yeah.
Even in Sri Lanka, we have the Vedda community, and we I mean they are local people, and they are so down to earth and live with the nature, and they are much healthier and happier than many people who live in the so-called developed and cultured world.
You know that the Vedda community, the indigenous people, like Aborigines in Australia, like in Sri Lanka, uh, uh, the leader, what's his name? This Uruwarige Vanilatto.
Hmm.
He's a vegetarian. Bante, you know that?
Really?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I have gone and met him. I have some videos also. Yeah, and it's very famous. So he was trying to kill with his bow and arrow a pig. The
Hmm.
following day morning, he went to see him because normally it happened in the night. Not bow and arrow. He shot him, and then he went to get this kill. He saw the nine small babies were drinking milk with
Oh
that
no.
dead body, and he said, "I never ever do this again." And he became so that's what I'm saying. So people get one, and one time they get. I mean, the smart people, the intelligent people, the loving and kind people, when they get a spark like that, then that's enough for them. But some people, how much we say, no, nothing happens because the greed is much more than all these things. Now, what is the difference between the people who die in Gaza Strip, those kids, and the animals in the factory farms? Same thing, but yeah, we are doing. We cry and cry for the people in the Gaza. I mean, I don't say we should not do that. Of course, we should. We should prevent that carnage. But what I'm saying is, can't we give that little compassion to the animals also? And it's a very, very inhuman ways of getting our food. Totally
Yeah.
unhealthy, unacceptable, actually.
So when you talk about indigenous and local food, I think there are some countries, some places, some areas where you probably don't get that much food. But I think still, like even in the deserts, you have your own locally available, like the cactus. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
whatever
yeah,
possible, because that is good for you, good for your health.
yeah. So the idea here is to give priority to locally available food.
Yeah.
That is the maybe the rest you can balance with the other, but
Mm.
also cultivate food, cultivate fruit, cultivate vegetables in your own backyard, so that you will not starve to death.
Yeah.
You can save your life
Mm.
from many diseases. You can
Mm.
be healthy, and you can also be happy, like the whole family get together and cultivate. That's a
Yes, yes.
beautiful thing. Yeah,
That's a beautiful thing. That is spirituality.
yeah,
People are happy. People are getting together.
yeah.
People
How
have
we
the same
harmony.
kind of thought processes.
Sometimes in the market we see like very beautiful and big fruits and very nice polished vegetables, so big and in size, and also look very very nice and colorful, but not necessarily so healthy.
A lot of
Most of them like genetically modified food,
modified.
so
Yes.
yeah, that really is not really helpful for our health. So
Mm.
people have to think of it seriously. I hope this lecture was an eye opener to many people. At least if you can think of, I want to grow something at my own backyard. I want to also take a look at my own nature, where I can find some more available vegetables and fruits, so that I can live a comfortable, peaceful, and healthy life with our own local food and local fruits available. And thank you so much, Mr. Ananda Mahinkanda, for this wonderful sharing of your knowledge. And also, before finish, would you like to say something about summer fest that you vegan summer fest that you attended recently? I know you go there all the time. Maybe if you want us to know, like our audience to know something about that, and if they are also interested in joining, how do they do that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's an annual event, Bante. To me, it's like a heaven. I'm telling you, because when you go there, the people who are gathering generally all very sensitive to themselves, to the environment, to the animals, to the planet. So they are always smiling, and just talking to these people also. I mean, it's really a good experience actually. But when you talk about this vegan summer fest, basically, normally they have about roughly about 1,000 people attending. It's an in-house program. It is held in the campus. It's about
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown campus, and uh, there are about 70 odd lecturers come and give speeches, their research papers, and they talk about they talk about health, they talk about environment, they talk about animals, uh, basically health actually. Basically they're talking about health issues, and how those can be taken care of, or those can be cured with a plant-based diet. That's the basically theme, the plant-based diet. And they have something called lifestyle medicine. Now it's very famous in the United States, by the way. Those chronic diseases, the people who have heart attacks and they are just about to die, they are now diverting these patients to these lifestyle clinics, and they just change the diet. That's the only thing they do, nothing else. They convert them to a plant-based eater, and then they start curing. And I give this challenge to anyone who is listening this. If you have any issues, or if your family member has any issues, any non-communicable diseases, or NCDs you call it, cancers, heart diseases, um, strokes, and things like that, I suggest, I request them to just go plant-based immediately. You can actually get the blood test, get some blood work done, like lipid profile, liver profile, and things like that, sugar, and just go plant-based at least 1 month and see what kind of a difference you will get, and get the blood test again. You will see by yourself what kind of a thing within 3-4 weeks time can be done to your body, to towards your health. Unbelievable. So these things actually all discussed there, and it's a nice place. It is normally held on the 4th of July, starting generally 4th or 5th, and you can go vegan summer fest, and uh, you can check online, you can register, and it's a little bit costly affair, of course, with your air tickets and your uh, fees and stuff. It comes to about $2,500 generally. So, but it is fully worth for your health and for your health of the loved ones around.
Thank you so much. With this, we would like to actually
So
conclude.
I just want to add one thing. You were mentioning about the local honey, Bante.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, when you talk about honey, of course, definitely it's local honey is better than the other honeys. But for me, I never even take honey, right? Why the honey bee is the most important uh, creature for human, for the planet, because they help uh, create food by doing the pollination, and they collect this honey for their own consumption. But being a decent human being, I don't want to steal their honey. I want to protect those bees. And if you, and actual fact is that if you don't, for some reason, for some disease or something, if the honeys are gone today, for example, from the world, then we don't have food for next 6 months. After 6 months, you will die because the production will stop right there. And so honeybees are that important, and we need to protect them. So I mean, this is my personal view, but of course, you don't kill honey bees. But for me, I never even take honey.
Yeah, I think yeah, without killing, without harming anyone, if there is a way, I hope there is a way, like for those individual indigenous people or tribal people. They also love nature, they also love the animals, they love the plants, how they survive through those locally available things. We all can go to that lifestyle, I'm sure, but we actually, from maybe time to time, need to think like in order to have that sustainable development for not only humanity but also the earth in general. Mother Earth in general is in real trouble right now. We have global warming, we have many other issues like a lot of natural disasters happening. We have to think of the nature, we have to respect the nature, we have to control our excessive passions, excessive cravings for food and many other things like material things. Like, I think that is where we need to have that balance with the balanced spirituality, and then the food and the spiritual side, when they are balanced, we can be a better human being. We can make this world a better place to live. Yeah.
One other thing, like even the health, like for example, if you get sick, Bante, like for example, you are a diabetic, how much sufferings that you can give it to your family members if you get bedridden, if you get paralyzed, for example, and for the rest of the life, like 4 years, 5 years, six, we never know how much sufferings you give, not only to you, but to your loved ones, people around you. So don't you have an obligation to be healthy at least, whatever the way possible? So that is so important. And also now you are just I have a very kind request from you. You are a member of the Sangha community, and all the Sangha, I mean, majority of the Sangha community are sick also. They have diabetes and whatnot. So I mean, that is why this the Sri Lankan task force, of course, is promoting this local food just to take care of their health, just to help them with health issues. Go indigenous, plant food. Don't eat meat, especially a dairy. Dairy is the killer actually. So and this education is that important for the Sangha community's well-being. So maybe you're a Sangha member, so I'm sure, so you can do some influence, at least in your forums, in your platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
think that is exactly why we are promoting and we are inviting people like you to talk about that. And hopefully, our community also will be more benefited. And yeah, I think what happens here, people need to be educated too. Like when you offer something to the Mahasangha,
Yeah.
you have to make sure that it is proper and good for their health. Sometimes you choose over taste, you know, taste
Mm.
over quality, then you have to suffer. Like that is why a lot of I think monks can be sick. They don't know, like they are offered food and so they eat. And unfortunately, many of the monks, they don't know what they eat. They just eat what they are given by the
Mm.
people. So people have be more alert, more mindful about the food that they offer to the Mahasangha, and
Yeah.
that
Also,
way
the
they healthier too.
yeah, I mean, this task force in Sri Lanka, by the way, they request the monks to tell the people, especially the occasions, like, when they bring the dane, okay, please bring dane from local food. Don't bring uh, uh, animal food for us. Like that, if they can do that, if they can tell the people, and they should not say, oh, whatever they have given, we have to take it. No, it's totally not correct. I mean, we go and demand things. We ask that, we ask this, and even though whatever we put on our plate, we don't eat. We have a selection right there. So I think the the taste buds need to control and be compassionate. Then you will be cured.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And yeah, I think it should be a combined task by both the people and the education system, and also the people, like scholars. They need to also educate people, and people also have to be more mindful when they offer something to the monks, and like even when they themselves eat for the betterment of their own kids, their own family. You know how much money you spend when you are sick, and as you mentioned, the arogya paramalabha, the health is wealth. So we have to be mindful about the food we eat.
Mm.
Yeah. And yes, I think with that, let us conclude the session today. And thank you again, Mr. Ananda Mahinkanda, for sharing your wisdom with our community. And I hope this was helpful. And I hope this was an eye opener to many people. Yeah, please think of your own nature, respect your nature, and start cultivating your own food, and try to be more mindful when you eat something. Like even when you buy something, just read the ingredients, and read the instructions what they have. With those tiny little letters, there can be many things that you probably don't want to eat. So if you are careful, if you are mindful, and also there are many ways for you to learn about this organic and locally available food, indigenous food, how important are they for your own health and happiness, and also for your wallet. That will be very, very helpful.
Yes.
So thinking thus, we conclude today's session. And once again, looking forward to seeing you with another session like this. And thank you. May you always be well, happy, healthy. And also, our wonderful audience who join us today, may you also be well, happy, healthy. And looking forward to seeing you with another guest lecture with another Thursday. And thank you. May you all be well, happy, healthy. Sukhi Digai. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.